Between the realm of the dead and the journeys of the living, join Josh, Jamie, and Elisa as they delve into the vast world of the paranormal and breathe life back into the history of the departed.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Paranormal Peeps podcast. That's Jamie.
That's Josh. And that's Elisa.
Like, who's going to say me?
You could have done yourself.
But she always does herself.
Well, I guess Yuki could have said it.
She doesn't speak.
It's true. She's a cat.
Well, I mean, when she opens her mouth, you don't even hear sound come out anyways.
No, that's true. But we have a interesting tale tonight to cover. That is the Athens Lunatic Asylum.
Yes.
Also known as the Ridges.
Yeah, but we'll get to that later. They changed the name later. It changes a couple different times, actually.
Yeah.
But back when it opened, it was called the Athens Lunatic Asylum.
Yeah, because it's located in Athens. But not Athens, Georgia.
Ohio.
Yes.
Yep.
And not Athens, Greece.
No, Ohio.
So we just want to make sure you guys understand. So the asylum was in operation from 1874 to 1993. So 119 years.
That's a long
crazy?
time.
I was kind of shocked when I saw it closed in 1993. I was like, wow. I'm
Yeah.
surprised it lasted that long, but go
Yeah,
Athens.
go Athens. Go the mentally infirm. The building style was known as the Kirkbride plan. The design of the building and the surrounding grounds were influenced by Dr. Thomas Kirkbride, who was a 19th century physician who wrote a book called On the Construction, Organization, and General Arrangements of Hospitals for the Insane, with some remarks on the insanity and its treatment.
And that is actually the title of his book.
That's insane itself.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
He should have been committed for that.
He wants you to know exactly what is in that book.
Exactly. It's 394 pages.
Yeah.
And I read part of it this morning.
And it was, yeah, no.
Yeah, part of it was like weird. Spot on.
Well, some of it was very accurate and made a whole lot of sense.
And then the rest of it went into like why you should build it out of this and how tall you should build it and what and why you should have a fully dug crawl space and all of this stuff. In reality, what he was talking about at the time, and this is, the 1800s when he wrote this, is the ethical treatment for the people who are deemed to be insane or have temporary mental issues.
Yeah.
Which they still call he actually referred to insanity as a treatable disease.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And so some people think that this individual institution he practiced there. This wasn't his practice. He just influenced the design of the building. So he's not truly the monster that ran this place. We'll get to him later. The Kirkbride building designs were recognized by the staggered floor plan of their wards and the batwing style, which another common place that has a batwing style is Waverly Hills.
Does it though?
Yeah, it's got the batwing style, and that's designed for airflow.
Okay, describe what the batwing style is.
Okay, so most buildings are flat, perpendicular, 90-degree angles. But with the batwing style, what ends up happening is the center part of the building is straight, and then as you go out, it curves out or angles out. Now, this one in particular actually staggers out, almost like you build it with Legos.
Oh, it makes sense.
So like where Waverly is like at like a 45-degree angle per se, right? This is more like I built wings out of Legos. So it does look like bat wings from the aerial photographs, but it looks more like you built it with Legos.
Yeah. Okay.
It was also had a very interesting Victorian Gothic style architecture. So like the front of the building is very Victorian Gothic.
Ooh,
I
I
love it.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's really nice.
And that's really on the main 1874 building has
The original.
The original really has that
original.
Gothic
Why
style
don't
to
they
it.
build things like that anymore?
Because we've gone from these things that have character and style and uniqueness, and we've gone to this minimalistic, plain, sterile crap.
Mm-hmm.
It's everywhere, people.
Also called modern.
I don't prefer it, myself. I think everything looks the same and kind of blends together.
Yep.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
It is terrible. The main building included a central administration and a wing for men on one side and a separate wing for women on the other. Each had their own dining hall. So there's really a segregation of the sexes.
Well, right. And I'm sure that, obviously there's reasons.
You would have to do that anyways.
Yeah.
They still do that in in homes for people who have dementia or Alzheimer's, memory care facilities.
Yeah.
They'll separate the men and the women.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you have to do that. It's amazing how many things happen in those homes.
So I had a family member that was in one of those homes, and in that home there was a man and a woman that were married to separate people who became boyfriend and girlfriend in the home because they didn't realize that they were married.
Oh,
that's kind of funny.
So they had to separate them.
Yeah. Wow.
You know what's interesting is Kirkbride in his Kirkbride. I want to say Bridge for some reason, but in his book, he actually talked about not having men and women even in the same facility.
Yep.
It's safer that way. Let's be real.
Well, he also felt that women would cause men to have problems.
Not the other way around.
Not the other way around.
Oh, my heavens.
It's always one-sided.
Yeah,
especially back in the day.
Yeah, it was very patriarchal back then. The building was 60 feet wide and 853 feet long.
Holy moly.
It was built with red bricks that were made from the clay that was dug on site. 18.5 million red bricks were used to make this building.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of bricks.
It's a big building.
The back of this building held the boiler room and a laundry room. In the main building, they could house roughly 573 patients, which was almost double to that of what Kirkbride had recommended.
That always happens. Do you notice that in places like this?
Yeah.
It's like people just dump them off and they don't ever put a limit on it. They just dump their relatives off and
when they become troublesome or they just don't want to deal with them anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you figure too, like this was a state-run institution, right? And so the state's going to pay you, let's say, $15 per person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so you're like, let's see, how many people can I get in here?
Yep.
Did you mention that the bricks that they used to make the buildings were actually sourced from that property?
Yeah. Yeah, they were dug. They were dug on the property.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting thing is like these places, just like Waverly, right, was self-sustaining. So was this institution right off the bat.
Yeah.
And I think that's cool. If you can have a self-sustaining place and if you're not using the people that are living there as like slaves in a way, but to teach them how to garden
and it's used as therapy.
How to, do those things, then that can be so therapeutic.
That's right.
Yep. Eventually, the overcrowding led to problems between the patients in the facility,
Why
Well,
would it
and
not?
it would.
right?
Overcrowding, you don't have your own space. You're in, everybody's in each other's bubble.
And let's face it, right? At this time too, like you're there for potentially an actual legitimate reason, right? So you're
Mhm.
having some mental issues, and if you're having an issue with your mental state at the time, having other people like right up in your grill is probably not going to be very good.
No.
it's going to trigger you.
Well, and if you think about it, generally when you are doubling the amount of people that you have in a space, you have less workers per people,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
per person. And so there's going to be less people taking baths
Yep.
or having hygiene issues, cleanse, like the room is going to be more dirty.
Yep.
Oh
Like
yeah.
everything is just going to go
suffers.
downhill.
Yeah.
Because of that.
Everything suffers.
Well, and your care suffers too, right? Because there's
Yeah.
not enough people to provide care.
And what do you notice with people who have mental health issues? They don't take care of themselves. They stop.
Yep.
They slowly
Right.
stop taking care of themselves. So how is putting them in a place like that ever going to help?
Right.
Exactly.
Ugh.
Yeah, that was another thing Bride said, is that his recommendation was 15-1 on patients who were mildly disturbed. So you could have 15 people in one like common area type of thing.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty small group of people compared to the 573 plus that they crammed in this building.
Yeah. I wonder how many workers they actually had.
It wasn't that many. It was like 25 on the day shift and 25 on the night shift.
That blows my mind.
Maybe. I don't know. I have pictures that I'll post, but
Yeah, it didn't look like a ton of people.
yeah, but I think it was more than 25.
Okay.
But it still wasn't enough.
Right.
Is the point, I guess.
So Athens provided, care for the homeless, Civil War veterans, the elderly, criminals, children, unruly teenagers.
Yeah, and so the unruly teenagers, the parents would send them there to teach them a lesson for being unruly.
Well,
Not because they actually had
Problems.
necessarily a mental health issue.
I wonder what problems they had back in the day.
I don't know.
What was the unruly
I don't know.
issues compared to today?
That'd be
No, I
interesting.
will not milk that cow.
Mom, I just don't want to husk corn anymore. My hands are raw.
2 years after it opened, it was renamed the Athens Hospital for the Insane. That sounds very pleasant.
Well, it's better than lunatic.
Yeah. By 1981, it would be called the Athens Mental Health Center. Ooh, that's a little nicer.
That's a lot nicer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got some good name changes in there.
Yep.
The interesting thing is the very first patient to be put in there was a 12-year-old girl
Oh.
who was suffering from epilepsy. But back then, of course, they didn't understand epilepsy the way we do today. They thought she was possessed by a demon. So if you're possessed by a demon, the best place to go is an insane asylum.
That poor girl.
Yeah. That's sad.
Yeah.
So sad.
And that made me think of the Bells.
Yeah.
It's like, he could have ended up in Athens. The asylum's first report was that 19 women and 31 men were having their insanity caused by epilepsy.
Wow. It's a lot.
That is a lot. It's interesting because it's like you're insane. Why? Because you have epilepsy.
Because you have seizures.
Yeah.
But they didn't know anything about epilepsy.
No, they didn't understand the neurological disorder that it is. A wide range of things could land you in this place. Like TB,
Yep.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
menopause.
Oh, crap. All the women, let's go.
This is why we weren't born back then, Elisa.
I know.
Postpartum,
Okay, well, that's screwed.
alcoholism, depression, women's issues,
You mean having a period?
Probably.
Cramping?
Probably.
Just being like, well,
Hormones.
hormonal.
talking off to your husband.
Like you've just you're PMSing hard and you just snap and
Off to the
she's
insane asylum.
The husband goes, "Oh, she's insane. Here, I'm going to drop you off here."
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
So the leading cause for women to be admitted in the first 3 years of operation were puerperal condition, which is related to childbirth.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what it actually is or has to do with childbirth. I didn't look it up.
It's probably close to postpartum. Probably somewhere in that line.
Yeah, I'm going to guess that's probably what it is.
Menstrual derangement. We call that PMSing today.
Little did they know they could cure it with some chocolate and a coffee.
Right?
From Starbucks.
Change of life, which menopause.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's what they mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, any of those things. She got a hair on her chin. To the asylum.
You're insane.
She's a witch.
She's possessed. Approximately 51 patients were admitted for alcoholism in the first 3 years. 81 women and men were admitted claiming that their insanity was caused by masturbation. And that was a thing.
Yeah.
You know how many people will be thrown in an asylum today for that?
Every man.
And half the women.
Maybe 3/4 of the women in today's day and age.
Yeah.
Who knows?
But here's the interesting thing why this was a thing was that some doctors went to in the 1700s, right? They went to an insane asylum and they actually saw a whole bunch of the people who were in there doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And so obviously if they're doing it, therefore it's going to lead, like if you're doing that, it's going to lead to insanity. And so that's why they put you in there.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It's such a weird thing now. Women could be institutionalized for fictitious and unnecessary reasons.
Of course. I think if the men just didn't want to deal with them anymore,
Yep.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
send them off.
Yep.
It's the easy way to get rid of them in that avenue. Depending on the patient's condition, they could have almost total freedom at the asylum or no freedom for full-time care. So those who had like total freedom could walk the grounds and move
those
around.
That were really mild-mannered and low maintenance.
Non-violent.
Non-violent. They pretty much could roam, you know. And for others that couldn't, it was like a prison.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm just PMSing. Just give me a week. Okay.
Right?
Just give me a week.
Just give me a week. Give me some chocolate. And we'll be all right. The asylum was obviously its own closed facility. So they had, walls and everything. And they also had their own livestock, their own orchards, their own fields, gardens, their own dairy. And they had their own plant that generated heat from steam. So they had their own steam plant.
That's cool.
Yeah. The interesting thing is I was looking into some of their records and I found that in 1 year, it was like in 1881, they made $1,337 on meat from cows.
That's a lot back then.
That's a lot of money.
So
Did
they feed it to any of their patients?
No. That's what they sold. They sold it
for profit. Gotcha.
From the livestock.
Oh, I'm aware, but what I'm saying is,
did some of the meat that they raised?
Yeah, I'm sure it did. Because they
it's supposed to be self-sustaining. So
yeah, it was a self-sustaining community. So
I would hope so.
They just had extras. Yeah. Essentially, what it ended up being. A lot of the maintenance work was originally done by the patients. That sounds a lot like old Montana State Prison, where a lot of the prison was built by the prisoners.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if they're doing it for slave work versus doing it for therapeutic work.
Yeah. Well, here it was said that they did it for the therapeutic, like taking care of the animals.
Yeah.
Because they had horses and stuff too.
Which would be so fun.
Right? And then, harvesting the garden
Mm-hmm.
and picking the fruit in the orchards.
Cultivating and
Yep.
all of that stuff.
All
yeah.
the things. And it was used as a form of therapy.
Well, yeah, because back
Fresh air, all that.
Yeah, because back in, the 1880s, when they would have been doing this, stuff was still done a lot by hand.
Yes.
Right.
So there was still a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, of course.
As the years went by, new buildings were added. They added they added stables, a firehouse, amusement hall, laundry building, several more wards, residential buildings for like the staff, therapy rooms, a power plant,
Wow.
and even and then a dozen more buildings. This place got huge.
Dozens and dozens more, actually. It's not just a dozen more. It was actually, come to find out, it was dozens, multiple dozens.
Are
more.
these buildings still standing?
A lot of them are.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
So by the 1950s, the hospital was treating roughly 1,800 patients and using 78 buildings, and was the single largest employer in the county.
That is huge.
Yeah.
That's massive. The asylum kept growing and expanding over the years. They added a dairy barn, a receiving hospital, a beacon school, and a TB ward.
A
Yeah.
TV ward?
TB,
Oh,
tuberculosis.
I'm like,
Yep.
TV,
Which
they had
obviously-
TV back then?
Which actually had to be a building on its own because TB was contagious. And,
Right. Yeah.
so that was off on its own.
How horrible that would be to just put them in the general population and then everybody got TB.
Yeah, well, people do stupid things, but thankfully they didn't here.
Yeah, right?
Thankfully they made it a separate building.
On top of that, 7 cottages were built in order to house those patients, the TB patients. These cottages were dormitory-style rooms, which allowed for constructive grouping of patients. By the 1960s, the facility had reached a staggering 660,888 square feet
Holy moly.
and had nearly 2,000 patients, which was over 3 times its capacity.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Instead of building all those extra buildings, let's build more rooms to house these people, these
Yep.
poor people that are having to
Live there?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and be squished like that.
Yeah.
In time, the public became aware of medical procedures like electroshock, lobotomies,
I don't know.
and eventually these would be seen as inhumane, cruel, and very unnecessary.
Thank goodness they came to that conclusion.
Right?
Kidding.
The part that I found insane, as we're talking about an insane asylum, right, is that when they perform lobotomies, and we all know that it's an ice pick through the orbital,
Right.
through the orbital of the eye into the brain, the patients were awake and sedated, which means you felt everything
That is
going in.
That
is torture.
BS. Yeah.
Oh,
That
yeah.
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. And obviously, once you do that, once you scramble the frontal lobe, you've changed the individual permanently forever. And that was the point, right? I mean, that's the point. They're
Just
trying
to make them
them.
docile and just so they just kind of sit there staring at a wall
Yeah.
and don't do much else.
But they
It's terrible.
lost memories,
Oh, yeah.
all sorts of stuff because they just broke down the prefrontal cortex.
Mm-hmm. Terrible.
Absolutely terrible. The discovery of psychotropic drugs and psychological therapies would allow for most patients to be treated without having to be kept in the asylum.
Thank goodness.
Right?
Progress.
Progress, people, progress. Because we just don't want to be doing those horrible things to people.
No, absolutely not.
And you can see like how this was all done differently from what the original doctor's designs were. Like
Mhm.
he wanted something humane and healing for the people, and not shoving an ice pick into their brains.
Yeah.
Like the man who invented lobotomies actually went to Athens and like practiced there and taught there.
Yep.
So like this stuff was like massively used everywhere else.
Yeah, that was the solution for a lot of these patients,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
along with electroshock.
Yep. Mhm.
So there were also rumors that patients were chained in the basement.
You know,
I
and
wouldn't be surprised.
I don't doubt it. I really don't.
I mean, they're all unsubstantiated rumors, right?
Right,
It's like,
but I don't doubt it.
yeah,
I would think because of how they treated people back then, with people having anger issues or throwing their fits,
Hmm.
whatever it is, that if they're going to be a harm to anyone, I mean, why wouldn't they go chain them up somewhere? Because
Yeah.
I've seen other asylums have actual rooms in basements where they are chained to the walls.
yeah,
That's sad.
So I don't see that it wouldn't be something that they would do. I mean, if you're putting yourself in the mindset that they were in back then,
Mhm.
if you're freaking sticking an ice pick in someone's brain and jiggling it around, not letting them be numb by any stretch,
Yeah, then you'd have no problem
then what
slapping
would
chains
be
on
the
'em.
problem
Yeah.
with putting chains on them down in the basement?
Yep.
yeah.
You wouldn't
The
blink
moral
twice.
ethics is pretty much gone at this point, right?
Oh, exactly.
Well, because people didn't care about people who had mental issues back in the day.
Well, and if you look at what the mental issues were too, right? For all those who couldn't see, those are a lot of big air quotes. But if you couldn't see, their mental issues weren't really mental issues either.
Nope.
A lot of them weren't.
A lot of
no.
them weren't. And so because of that, like, you're like, yeah, you got a problem with this thing, with doing these things, then we're just going to shove an ice pick up there and you'll stop doing everything. Or we'll chain you to the basement and you'll
I
stop
wonder
being
how
violent.
much control any of them had, like any of the patients had, over whether they got ice picked or not. You know?
Probably none.
That would be my guess.
Because everything's up to the providing physician at the time, right?
Well, I wonder if like family was ever involved. If they were like, "Hey, by the way, we want to do this. Do you give us permission?" Or is it like they're in your care, you do what you need to do, and they just do whatever they want?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's the latter. I mean, it wasn't. Obviously not in the 1960s, right? 70s, 80s, 93 when this place closed, right? Because
Right.
HIPAA and all this other stuff comes about. But definitely in the first 50 years, oh yeah, I'm sure it was just whatever's going to happen is going to happen, especially those first 30 years before 1900.
So, what year did they start doing the lobotomies?
Oh my gosh, I think those were started 18 something.
Was it before this place was built or after?
Let's
I want
find
to
out.
say before, but I'm not entirely sure.
Because I'm thinking of that like 12-year-old girl who goes in for seizures.
Mm-hmm.
If they thought, well, hey, let's scramble her brain and see if it stops her seizures.
Right.
Yeah, let's just say that actually no lobotomies were done before 1935.
What?
Yeah. That was when
1935?
1935, November 12th, was the very first lobotomy done by Portuguese neurologist Egos Mons.
Wow.
Or Monets.
That's nuts.
So that means this stuff was done early.
Yeah.
Or they were doing other things earlier.
Right, and this came later.
This came later,
Mhm.
and then they really probably ramped it up for a good 30-ish years.
Ugh,
That makes it even worse, honestly.
it does.
It really does.
Because you would think that in the 30s, like, we were better. Like, but I guess it really shouldn't surprise us, right? I mean, even today, we still have issues with mental health in this country about just getting mental health treatment for people.
Yep.
And so back then they just kicked them into a home and unfortunately shoved an ice pick up their head. Ugh. So then what eventually ended up happening and closing the place is a lot of the land and buildings were eventually sold off until all of them were sold off to the University of Ohio.
I don't think they were sold off.
Well, they were acquired. They were all acquired by the University
They
of
were
Ohio.
signed over. The deeds were signed over to the university.
I guess I assumed that to be sold off.
Okay.
All right. So in 1988, more buildings and grounds were deeded to Ohio University from the Department of Mental Health. By the early 1990s, many of the asylum's original buildings were in disrepair. The large asylums, like Athens, began to slowly be phased out, shifting to small outpatient centers.
Mm-hmm.
The remaining asylum's property was deeded over to the university in 1993, which added 700 acres and 700,000 square feet of building space to the university's campus. After that, the old Athens Asylum officially closed, and any remaining patients were then transferred to a new mental health facility. The vacated property sat vacant for several years before restoration efforts began.
But those people were excited to get out of there.
Right?
Yeah, there weren't many left. I did have a number of how many were eventually left.
Yep. Today, most of the buildings serve as offices and classrooms.
Mm-hmm.
So they're actually used by the campus today.
Oh, that's good.
Which is great.
Yeah. The Kennedy Museum of Arts opened in Lynn Hall in 1996. And Lynn Hall was once the asylum's central administration building.
So it's the main building.
So the main center of the building. In 2001, construction on Lynn Hall was completed. The old TB ward was demolished in 2013 due to danger, and it was separate from the rest of the facility. So it was off on the side, and so they ended up tearing it down.
Yeah, because a lot of college students were going in there and exploring, which
I mean, I would.
I would have.
Partying and doing who knows what
Who
in
knows,
there, right?
Yeah.
The remains of 1,930 former asylum patients are buried in 3 separate cemeteries around the asylum. And when they were originally buried, they were buried without names and just marked by numbers on their headstones.
Oh, that's terrible.
So there are 979 men and 700 women that are in the cemeteries.
I'm actually surprised. With all the reasons why the men could throw their wives in there or whatever, I'm surprised there's not more women than men.
I am too.
Well, the 1,930 that are buried in the cemeteries are those who died and were unclaimed. So there are even more deaths that happen in those buildings, but their families actually claimed their bodies and took them out.
So okay.
So the death toll is over 2,000.
Yeah.
Right.
So maybe, I mean, I don't know, maybe there was many more women who died, but their husbands finally claimed them after they died.
So that they wouldn't look bad.
Yeah, that's still terrible.
I know.
In 1943, efforts started to be made to put names and dates on the headstones.
I think I've heard about this. Like it's a project that they're doing.
Yeah, they actually have a website.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
really
they're
cool.
actually making efforts to also now restore the cemeteries to what they used to be. So to do better caretaking and to
Make them nicer.
and
Yeah.
That's neat.
And then 80 veterans are also buried in the cemeteries. In 2000, work began restoring the cemeteries, adding headstones, adding nicer headstones, naming them, keeping it up.
yeah, with their birth date and their death date and their name, and so
Yeah, making it a lot nicer. The Ohio Museum Complex has incorporated the 3 cemeteries into interactive nature walking trails.
Oh, that's cool.
That is really neat.
Yeah, they have, so on this property that they've acquired, they have like hiking trails and like all sorts of stuff.
Well, it was a lot of property, so
Yeah.
which is neat because that means you can go actually and visit and see a lot
can.
of this stuff.
And it sounds like for the most part they made good use of the property and the buildings, a lot of the buildings. But there's still a lot of buildings that are vacant.
Yeah.
But they have, like, I think in one of the buildings is like the county's police department
Oh, that's
in
cool.
one of them. So,
Oh, that's really neat.
mhm.
Yeah. So thankfully today, like a lot of these buildings have been renovated, remodeled, and are used. But there are still many that are still left abandoned
Yep.
and unused.
Yeah.
Well, there was a lot of buildings, so
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
there
a
was
lot
one
of
or
buildings. So of those 1,900 plus people who passed away, there is one death that is the most infamous, I guess, well known of all of the deaths there.
Yeah.
So in 1978, the asylum made a big splash in the papers. A patient by the name of Margaret Schilling went missing on December 1st, 1978. Now, she wasn't found until January 12th, 1979.
So like
42 days later,
later.
she was found. 6 weeks.
ugh.
A maintenance worker discovered her decomposing body in a locked ward once used for patients with infectious illnesses. She was found naked with her clothes neatly folded next to her body. And then to this day, there's a stain on the floor where her body was found. And any attempt to remove the stain has failed. So what's interesting about that, there's a couple things interesting, is there's mixed reports on why she went missing. Some say that they would play hide and seek. The patients who had free roam, she was a free roaming patient, and she was allowed to roam, and so they say that they were playing hide and seek, and she got locked into this room because obviously the locks on these rooms were on the outside, not the inside. There's other reports that this building was under reconstruction at the time that this happened. And so that, one, it wasn't used at all, but there were normally workers there, but the workers were home for the holidays, so because it was cold, so they weren't working. And so she somehow found her way into this building and
Got locked in the
got
room.
locked in.
Well, if she's free roaming, yeah.
Right. There's other reports that this building was searched multiple times during the 42 days that they were looking for her, and they still never found her.
See, I didn't come across that.
Yeah.
I would actually believe that more than other scenarios, just because it's not uncommon for a killer, if you will, to take someone and keep them for a while and then randomly place their body somewhere. Now, if the perfect place would be in a place like that where, like, oh, look, she could have gotten stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And it was ruled that she died of a heart attack.
Heart failure, honey.
Yeah. Cardiac arrest.
Due to the cold, because obviously there was no heat in the building and she was naked. So one of the things is when your body goes into hypothermia, you actually, instead of feeling ice cold, you feel like you're burning up.
Yes.
And so a lot of people, when they reach that stage, they will strip off all their clothing.
And that also makes sense too, because a girl will generally fold their clothes.
Yep.
And they were neatly folded.
I find myself, without even thinking about it, folding my clothes before I put it in the hamper. Like,
yeah.
And then I'm like, wait, what am I doing?
Why am I bothering?
Right.
What am I doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, it does lend to the natural causes in that. And then because the room where she was at was on the upper floor, there was a bunch of windows up there, so her body would have been laying in the sun. Was where she was found, which is interesting because I found one report that said she was in the basement, which made no sense. So much misinformation out there at times.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. But there's a practical reason why the stain of her body is still there on the floor. And you can see, like, this is her shoulders and her hips and her hair.
And her torso. And yeah.
Like, you can see these pieces, right? Yeah. Because what ended up happening, obviously, she was decomposing. Well, the chemicals they used to clean up what was left behind actually caused an acid etching into the concrete of her body.
Oh, wow.
And they actually did a test in 2008 of the stain and determined, it was the chemical compounds they used that actually caused it to be permanent.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Because I know that stuff is nasty and goes everywhere.
Yeah.
Because when you're decomposing, like when you die, all of your blood goes down.
Mm-hmm.
Like wherever
position
you're in, it's going to go down. And it will make that imprint, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like I have seen where when the bodies decompose, their body basically liquefies.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you left long enough.
I watched a documentary where there were a few families or a few people killed. Like it was the one in Idaho with the college murders.
Yep.
Their blood was actually dripping out of the house.
Yeah.
Like you could see it where they had the siding.
Mm-hmm.
It was coming out from the siding of the house.
Wow.
So like, but it's not that their bodies were decomposing, but it's just the liquid goes everywhere.
Yeah. So I actually, in regards to that, read an article where as her body lay on the concrete decomposing, the fluids and your body lets off like this waxy substance as well.
Yeah.
Right. In the fluids. And because concrete's porous, it got down into the concrete, see? And that's what left the stain.
Yep. Yeah. And that makes sense. It's because the concrete is going to absorb it and then they're going to try to clean it.
But it's porous, so it's in the concrete.
Yeah.
You'd have to like take the floor out.
Yeah.
Yeah. They just ended up using a really caustic cleaner
that helps seal it in.
Yeah. Gross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she was there long enough to leave this quite remarkable print,
right,
without it just being everywhere. But yeah, it's quite sad. But I actually have a picture of the actual article when they found her.
Mm-hmm.
And I also have a picture of her gravesite. So, and I have pictures of the Athens Asylum and patients, and
it would be
that
cool
I'll post.
Yeah, it would be cool to ghost hunt and see if we could do like an Essie's method or something to find out, like, okay, tell us how you really died.
Right.
Will you talk to us? Like,
yeah, and
give us that information.
And the state requires that all of those records are sealed for 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
So we won't know how she died for another 3 years.
That's not far, though.
That's not far. Like, nope. It's getting close. I was doing the math in my head. I'm like, wait, hey, that's like 28. All right. We're getting closer.
We're almost there. But, there's so much death, so much emotion poured into these buildings. You would definitely expect them to be haunted. Yes.
And these rooms, I mean, some of them are dormitories, some of them are classrooms, and obviously the museum. Mm-hmm. And so they have reports of phantom footsteps, phantom voices, doors opening and closing on their own.
Yep.
When imagine, and I can, right, being an individual who's a non-believer, highly skeptic, and sitting there, in one of these classrooms, like, because they're, you're like a TA or something, right? Grading papers at night. And all of a sudden, your door to your room opens and then closes. And then the door down the hall opens and closes. And be like, nope, I'm out.
It's different when you're alone, though.
It is. It's
very
different.
Totally different.
When you're with somebody, it's you feel a bit more like you're okay. When you're completely alone and there's nobody else around, and that, it's a lot.
Yeah,
it's very different. But yeah, a lot of the reports are just the basic footsteps, doors, lights, right? Some voices.
Do they allow ghost hunting there?
They do.
Yes.
Ooh.
In the occupied
and
buildings.
Yes, and really around Halloween is what I've heard. But...
So it's contact the museum, because obviously it's a museum.
Yeah.
Contact the museum and you can get a chance to get in and do some investigating. Saw a handful of YouTube videos out there of people going in to these abandoned parts of the property.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I get it, Urban X is a thing, but it is also highly illegal.
Yeah, if you get caught, look out.
Highly do not recommend doing it. And some of these buildings, and the reason why they tore the one down, right, it was unsafe. Mm-hmm. If they're not occupied, there's a reason. There's the potential for very unsafe conditions, and you definitely don't want to get hurt. Because if you're there and no one knows and you get hurt, you might become the next exhibit.
You might become the next stain on the concrete.
Yeah, exactly. With that, there is one reported haunting.
Nobody can see your air quotes.
I know. But there's one reported haunting / possession associated to this place. And it has to do with the stain. So there was Debbie Southall went up one Halloween night, 1979, to where Miss Margaret died and touched the stain that was left by her body. So this would be the year after she died, mm-hmm. right? The next day, something came over Debbie. Her personality changed dramatically. She became distant, enraged at the slightest provocation. Her friend Susan Harrington later claimed to have witnessed items moving around on their own, an inhuman shadowy figure appearing to her and to Debbie. After this, Debbie became even more distant, locking herself in her room, refusing to come out for days, especially after long sessions locked away. Susan broke into her room only to find Debbie had taken her own life, her body decomposing, leaving its own stain on the floor.
How long did it take until she took her life?
Doesn't say. There's a small problem with this story.
I'd say it's a big problem, but okay.
It happened in 1976.
Not 79?
Not.
No, before 79. Margaret Schilling even died.
There's been some mix-em-ups.
Uh-huh.
So
I call BS.
Yeah. So what more than likely happened is urban legends as they go, right? The story of her death on campus, right? Mixed with the story of the other gal's death. They start to intermingle, and the next thing you know, a whole new story is built. Because the one thing that isn't mentioned, right, is that obviously this is a university campus. People still die on campus. So there's a lot of other deaths and other things happening and mixing in. Athens was listed on the most haunted places in America as number 13. So the town itself.
Okay.
So the whole town is considered to be the 13th most haunted place in the entire United States.
I wonder, though, if we had a group of actual ghost hunters create which ones are the most haunted. You know, like say, okay, we've all been to these places and let's all vote and then we'll see which ones.
Right.
But how would you use criteria? Would you say most haunted or most active?
That's true.
Because they're not the same.
Most people would assume that it would be active
Yeah.
if you're talking haunted. The average person
I
would
associate
assume
the two together myself.
Yeah.
Hey, this place, like, hey, we went to Waverly. Boy, we got a lot of stuff there. We had a lot of active things happening. Oh, and then we went to the Basilica Murder House, and it was,
And I fell asleep in the
I fell
in the
asleep.
table.
It was so quiet.
Right.
So active to me equals haunted
Activity,
whether it's residual or intelligent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's, you're getting stuff. You're experiencing things.
Yeah. There is one very interesting phenomena about Athens. And this might be entirely idiomatic in the sense, but there is a lot of cemeteries around Athens for some strange very reason. And if you start drawing lines, they make a pentagram.
Ooh.
With the campus being right in the center.
The main building?
The campus is itself, like
just the
whole campus is in the middle of this pentagram.
Interesting.
I wonder who figured that out. Somebody with a drone.
Yeah, someone with a lot of time.
But I know, but when you look at it though, because each cemetery is expansive in size.
Yes.
Could you not draw a pentagram? Or are you lining it up at certain points? Like, is it calculated?
Yeah, I'd like to see the
I'm just going to draw a pentagram.
Yeah.
I'm able to connect them, at this bottom corner of this one and this in the middle of this one and make that pentagram.
Well, yeah. So from what I saw of the map of the area, right? Athens is actually built because of the way it's structured by the river. Mm-hmm. It's actually kind of structured like a wheel itself. So it's already a circle, almost circular in itself and just how it's designed. And so if you already start with a circle,
it's easy to
like, let me just connect some dots and, I drew a star. Oh, in the middle of a circle.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because the cemeteries are going to be on the outlining areas. You're not going to put a cemetery right in the middle
generally doesn't
of campus, right? They're always on the outlining areas. So,
I mean, technically speaking, there are now in the middle of campus, but they weren't before.
They weren't before, though.
Right.
So then you have, what was it? 5 cemeteries? 3, 5? What is 5?
Yeah, there's like 30 in town, like in the whole town.
Right, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, there's 3 just for the asylum.
So I'm not sure that I really buy that it was a deliberate thing, that they were placed there deliberately so that if you connected them, you could make a pentagram.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I fully...
You don't think it was like the city planners were like, how can I make the city a pentagram?
Well, right.
Yeah, I mean, gonna be like, who designed this?
Right? I mean, honestly, you never do know. The way the world's crazy.
Honestly, could be complete accident. It just worked out that way.
That's kind of my thought. Well,
and that's where you start getting into like people creating symbols out of something that wasn't intended to be that way.
Right, because I think that you can take certain things and if you really work it, I think you can do just that. Yeah. I really do.
I wonder what you could draw on top of Salt Lake if you looked at it long enough.
I'm sure somebody really creative could figure it out.
I actually have the picture. I can see the picture. And they try to, like, this city, actually, the library, tried to debunk the pentagram.
Mm-hmm.
And they show it with all the cemeteries.
Right.
Let me see if I can click into it. But they're kind of scattered. There are, where they show at the point of each one, there is a cemetery, but there's also cemeteries around. So to me, it looks like
Yeah.
it's like that's not even an even star.
No, it is a star.
It's a star, but it's not an even one.
So somebody's just doing that to make it more than what it really is.
Yes.
Yeah, they're trying to find.
They're trying to embellish it.
Trying to find a reason.
If you really want to put the lines on there, it would be a scribbled mess.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you try to
if you picked and choose, then yeah, you can make a star, but
I think you can make a cross out of that too if you tried.
Yeah,
you probably could.
Yeah, you could go
See,
down.
I don't
Make
like
a Star
it when
of
people
David.
do that though. I don't like it when people do that. They try to put this demonic and this crazy spin on it, you know what I mean? And turn everything into something very wicked and very evil. And I'm just so sick of people doing that.
Well, and there's a part of sensualization, right? That comes even with the paranormal, right? Everyone,
yes, absolutely.
And so, like, it does drive people into that realm of looking for those things because.
Well, and if you're gonna look for it, you're gonna find it.
Eventually, you do.
Well, exactly.
If that's what you're looking for.
I bet you Utah has a lot of temples, right?
Yeah.
I bet you if you pick 5 temples, the right 5, I bet you could draw a pentagram using the temples as points.
Yeah.
Why? Because you have,
if you have enough of them, you can make any picture you want, really.
There's like 30 temples in Utah, in like northern Utah alone, right? I might be exaggerating, but it feels like that.
All these churches, anyway, they're everywhere.
Oh, yeah. If you use the churches, you got like 600. I mean, you got points, right? And so, if you have enough points to choose from, you can make it look like anything that you want.
Yeah. But I hate that people want to be deceptive and steer people in a dark direction with it.
Yep.
I hate the intent behind it.
I think
to make it more interesting or to make it appealing.
And I wonder if it could have been just something that they did for Halloween.
Could be.
Or like a tour or something, and it just caught on.
Yeah.
Because I could see somebody doing something like that to make it feel a little bit more spooky or a little bit more like ghosty.
This is why Athens is so haunted. See, there's a pentagram. And in the center of the pentagram, the insane asylum. And so therefore...
And the most haunted building of the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And therefore, this is why.
I mean, if I just dislike it.
I would,
I really... It bothers me.
It
really kind of does.
I can understand. It gives...
Because you're spreading more...
misinformation.
Yeah. BS is what you're doing.
But that's what lore is all about. That's how lore starts. People creating these stories or people creating.
But the problem is that a lot of people today blindly buy into every single thing they hear.
Yep.
And that's the problem. It's not so much that the lore is out there. It's that people just they just see it once and then it's like, oh, in their mind it's 100% true.
But do you think though? I mean, we obviously see it now, right? Because we have all manner of ways of disseminating information, right? But I don't know if it was any different back in the 1800s in that avenue, right? Because we look at things, and we've covered it on this podcast. We covered the Bear Lake Monster.
Yeah.
And, right? And it's like, okay, it starts with one person, and then someone else sees something, and it's got to be the Bear Lake Monster. And there's no like discernment, right? And it just takes enough people to snowball this thing, and the next thing you know, you've got a parade and Lake Monster days,
the Lake Monster children's book.
Yeah, I mean, like you have all of this stuff, right?
Yep.
And it's just kind of how it snowballs.
Yeah.
And so I think the reason why, in a sense, that we want that this stuff happens is we want it to be true. Not that it is true, right? But we want some of this stuff to be true.
We like the mysterious.
And that's fair, but you should have a little bit of discernment and realizing when it's BS or, hey, I'm just going to play along because it's fun.
Well, and
but I
that's where
understand
think-
it's not real.
See, and that's where I think a lot of it starts is
Mhm.
if they're doing, say, a tour,
Right.
and somebody needs to write the script for the tour. I could see somebody coming up with something like that to make the tour more interesting
Yeah.
and make it more intriguing and add another splash of mysteriousness to the tour. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
think in my mind, something like that, I can see where that would come from.
Right.
And I'm
Yeah.
not necessarily opposed to that.
Right.
I'm not, because mysterious things are fun.
Sure.
And it kind of creates something interesting, but also not super factual. You know what I mean?
Is it entertainment
Right.
or is it facts?
Or people like,
Or is it modified for your enjoyment
yeah, and I wonder
based
if,
on a true story?
I doubt
Loosely.
or wonder if people actually take that so seriously where they perform rituals or, you know, whatever in the center of that
And-
pentagram, you know?
And I will bet you that that does happen
I don't doubt it.
because
I don't doubt it.
and I don't know if I've shared the story on here or not, but it was after the Blair Witch movie came out. And I used to work at an amusement park, and we were waiting for everyone to lock up, so we had to wait outside. And this gal had seen the movie the night before, and we're just, sitting outside and waiting, and the amusement park is closed, and there's, critters and stuff moving around behind us and whatnot. And everything that moved was, it's the Blair Witch, it's the Blair Witch, it's the Blair Witch.
Witch.
It's like, oh my goodness. You know it's a movie, right? You know it's not real, right? So, yes, I do believe that some people will take
Anything.
and make it way more than it should be, and then start allowing that to make their decisions.
Yeah.
But
that can lead to problems too.
Yes, it can.
Because some people, especially ones that blindly believe it, even if it is made up for the purpose of like entertainment and the mysterious part, they believe it and then they go out and they try to do it. And what if they ended up getting hurt or something happens because of it, right?
Yeah.
This is where it becomes a problem. Like, I saw my favorite YouTube people go on a ghost hunt and this happened and that happened. And, so I'm going to go out and I'm going to find a place and I'm going to do this. And, it could lead down some bad roads.
Yep.
It can. That's where the responsibility of things.
That's why I hope they're not being dumb.
Yes.
Well, and see, but
Right.
in
They're
today's
stupid
world,
meter. Let's
right?
not have that be on.
Let's not peg it.
Natural selection, here we come. Yeah.
All right, everybody. If you enjoyed this wonderful tale of I would say murder and mayhem, but
No,
it's definitely not that. It's a lot of sadness in this one.
it is. It was less of the paranormal. Unfortunately, when we got to the haunting stuff, there just was not
There's not
much out there that you can find anyways.
I do believe the place is more than likely very haunted and very active at times.
Yeah, and I'm sure students and stuff and faculty have had experiences there, but there's none out there that we could
Well, we could
really
substantiate.
find. Yeah.
Yeah. So, have a great night, everybody. Ghost hunt responsibly. And as always, stay ghosty, my peeps. Thank you for listening to the Paranormal Peeps podcast. You can find us on social media at Twitter at CPR Paranormal, on Facebook at Paranormal Peeps Podcast and Cold Spot Paranormal Research. And you can find us on Instagram at coldspot_paranormal_research.